How's it going, everyone? It is me, the Lone Vault Wanderer, and welcome to my deep analysis into the full Fallout 76 showcase that was shown at Bethesda's E3 press conference today. Today's deep analysis will be slightly differently edited than the last ones because I noticed on my last videos, you all said that you didn't like how I kept pausing the video and talking over the top of it, so this is going to be slightly different and I hope you enjoy it. I really do take your criticism and feedback on board, so keep letting me know about your feedback in the comments below. And as well, if I've made any mistakes in this video, or if I've missed anything, I would also love to hear about it in the comments below. So with all that out of the way, let's get into my deep analysis of the full Fallout 76 showcase. So of course, let's start at the beginning of the showcase, where Todd Howard mentioned some quick facts about Fallout 76. Fallout 76 will be a prequel to all the other Fallout games. This game is going to be their biggest one yet, 4 times the size of Fallout 4, which again is likely referring to the map of Fallout 4, and perhaps not necessarily the size of the story or the number of quests. The game of course is set in West Virginia, and the story is built around the idea that we're the first ones to emerge out of Vault 76 into the wasteland. The showcase begins with the original trailer that we saw during Microsoft's E3 press conference. I'll link the deep analysis that I did into that trailer in the description below. But I do want to note something very quickly. In that trailer I mentioned that I didn't know what this structure was. Well, thanks to all of you that commented on that video, you discovered that this is likely the Ballistic Orbital Missile Base 001 or Bomb 001, which was going to appear in the cancelled Fallout 3 game codenamed Van Buren. I might do a separate video on that topic, but for now let's continue. As we already know, Vault 76 was one of the very first vaults to open again after the Great War, which makes sense as it's a control vault with no experimentation. Todd mentions that the vault was built to celebrate America's tercentenary. You spend 25 years in the vault waiting for the door to open. Again, note that the vault door was meant to be openable 240 months after the Great War, so unless BGS was inconsistent with the law, they must have stayed inside the vault for another 5 years even though they could have exited. So we begin the game inside of Vault 76. You're in your bedroom, and in front of you, you can see the terminal with a Reclamation Day party invite. The Overseer lets us know that the night previously, the Reclamation Day party took place, which explains all the party supplies. But now it's time for us to get outside. The player character grabs the Robco Pip-Boy, which is specifically the Pip-Boy 2000 Mark VI, or 6. And although it's hard to see the date on this Pip-Boy, it's still likely to be the 27th of October 2102, as that was the date that appeared in the original trailer. This Pip-Boy is an enhanced version of the Pip-Boy 2000, which is the one that appeared in the original Fallout games. For comparison, the Pip-Boy in Fallout 4 is the Pip-Boy 3000 Mark IV, or 4. So we get a closer look of inside of Vault 76, which is likely the central beginning hub for the game. I'm also guessing as well that if your character dies in Fallout 76 without having set up a base, this is probably where you'll respawn, but that's just my guess. By the time your character wakes up, mostly everyone else has already left the vault. You walk by a room that looks like an orientation to help the inhabitants understand how to use the Pip-Boy and how to cope with life outside of the vault. It's likely that the instructional Vault-Tec videos that are shown later in the showcase were also shown to the Vault 76 inhabitants in that very room. Then you finally exit the vault to the outside world of West Virginia. Note here that the vault door entrance is a regular door like Fallout 3's Vault 101, unlike Fallout 4's Vault 111, which used an elevator system. We then take our very first steps outside, which is very clearly a callback to how we exited the vaults in both Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. In this footage, we can clearly see that it's autumn, which is confirmed by the date on the Pip-Boy in the trailer footage to be late October, early November. The game has all new lighting, rendering, and landscape technology, permitting 16 times the detail and allowing us to view distant weather systems. This is important as when we see more of the map later on, there is a range of other weather types, including snow. We then see a cool map of West Virginia, and specifically we can see the Mothman referenced in a museum that's nearby Vault 76. The Mothman Museum is actually a real-life museum in West Virginia. Wikipedia states that the Mothman Museum was opened in 2005 by Jeff Walmsley. It's a museum dedicated to the Mothman of West Virginia folklore. The museum is located right next to the Mothman statue on Main Street in Point Pleasant, the town in which the original 1966 to 1967 Mothman sightings are said to have occurred. We'll discuss the Mothman in more detail later on. Todd then mentions that West Virginia is where the actual nuclear secrets are kept. What does that mean? Does it have to do with the Greenbrier Hotel bunker and the government officials that secured themselves there? What did they have to do with the nukes and the Great War? Is this going to be important to the story? Perhaps. We're then informed that the Overseer is actually sending us on a quest. I'm assuming this is the main story quest. If so, it's possible that we might need to keep going back to the vaults to report our findings. But that's just speculation on my behalf. It's also possible that the Overseer has given us other missions too. So West Virginia has 6 distinct regions, which later in the showcase are actually referenced by name. Jumping forward for a second, in this basic map we can see those names of the locations in Fallout 76 West Virginia. Assuming these are the actual names of the locations, it seems that Vault 76 is located in the forest, but then you have the Ash Heap, the Toxic Valley, the Savage Divide, the Mire, and the Cranberry Bog. New enemies also appear in this trailer, like these machines which look like robotic versions of the mimics from Prey. We later see in the footage that these machines are called Liberators. Todd then specifically mentions that they've used real-life folklore of West Virginia to bring the creatures and enemies in the game to life. This is very important, as we can use this folklore to get some potential background information on the creatures that appear in the game. And as soon as you'll see in the footage, most of the creatures that appear do have specific influences from West Virginia folklore. The magazine on the table is entitled Tales from West Virginia Hills, which is actually a name that might be directly adopted from an album by the West Virginia Symphony Orchestra of the same name. And as a little Easter egg, the Country Road song by John Denver is actually on this album. The magazine is entitled The Beast of Grafton, which is likely a reference to the Grafton Monster, a headless monster that supposedly resided nearby Riverside Drive in Grafton, West Virginia. Wikipedia states the following: formerly a railroad boomtown, Grafton, West Virginia today seems somewhat an anomaly, a village of big city architecture locked in a territory of small farms and dense woodlands. In its heyday, Grafton was a wealthy mining center, and one of its biggest claims to fame is the founding of the Mother's Day there in 1908. Through these woodlands prowls a monster, some say. A monster with seal-like skin was reported there in 1965, and it was called locally the Grafton Monster. The first sighting of this monster, which became known as the Headless Horror, was on June 16, 1965. And yes, later in the trailer, we come to find that this creature is actually called the Grafton Monster in-game. As the footage progresses, we see more creatures that find their influence in West Virginian folklore. This creature here simply looks like a regular ghoul, and I managed to find a reference on the internet that in 2003, 2 survivors described their encounter of a family of ghouls in rural West Virginia. Then there's this monster here, which could very well be the Flatwoods Monster. Wikipedia describes this monster as follows: in West Virginia folklore, the Flatwoods Monster, also known as the Braxton County Monster or the Phantom of Flatwoods, is an entity reported to have been sighted in the town of Flatwoods in Braxton County, West Virginia, on September 12, 1952. Some say this monster resembles an owl, and a lot of the pictures that I found on Google that depict this monster show glowing red eyes which look very similar to the eyes that we can see in the game. So in this game, each of the characters in the vault is a real person. Fallout 76 is entirely online. Todd specifically says that you can experience this game solo, and explore the world, do quests, experience a story, and level up all on your own. But Todd described how the BGS team wanted to experiment with multiplayer. So development of Fallout 76 began 4 years ago. This game is an open world survival multiplayer game. Todd goes on to mention that death never means a loss of progression or of your character. So it seems like your character's level, experience, skills, and other things are tied to your online account, rather than save files or specific servers like how ESO operates with its mega servers. So seemingly all you need to do is turn on the game, play, and be in a world with dozens of other players. You can then play with your friends and carry over your character that you've used in other sessions. And it should also be noted that Todd placed an emphasis in the footage on being able to exercise real choice in this game, whatever that means. So next up, we have the Vault-Tec instructional videos. Let's start with the first one, which is titled, Let's Work with Others, The Art of Cooperation. This video makes clear that as you play, you can encounter and battle other real players. Now, is this the solo play that Todd was referring to? Is there a PvE mode? This was never confirmed explicitly. It could still be possible that the other humans you encounter in the Wasteland are NPCs, but Todd did say that the other characters, at least in the vault, are all real people. So this is really up in the air. In this scene, you can see that we get caps as a reward for killing other people. Also, judging from the gameplay and the multiplayer dynamic, it's likely that VATS isn't returning. It probably wouldn't be possible with multiplayer as time has to slow down for VATS. Also, do you remember how we made a big fuss about the radiation level on the Pip-Boy being set at 500? Well, look at this shot here. You can see that the rad meter has actually gone down. So it seems that this red line was not just the middle point as some people suggested. It's actually the meter that can go up and down according to radiation levels. Which means that the fact that the Pip-Boy in the vault was set at 500 rads was either an oversight or is the default level before it properly reads the rad level of the user. Next up, of course, we need to mention that in Fallout 76, you can team up with other players to take on the Wasteland. It also seems from this footage that the max party size is 4, as the Vault-Tec instructional video only ever showed 3 other characters with the Vault Boy, and in the gameplay footage we only ever see 4 people fighting together. Then in this footage here, we see the sign that reads Camden Park. This is actually a real-life amusement park in West Virginia. Moreover, this park has a sign at the front that appears exactly like the one in the game. Wikipedia states that Camden Park is a 26-acre amusement park located near Huntington, West Virginia. Established in 1902 as a picnic spot by the Camden Interstate Railway Company, it is one of only 13 trolley parks that remain open in the United States. And to stay true to this, you can of course see in the background that there's a roller coaster. From this screen, we can see that super mutants return, with a super mutant enforcer being depicted. And yes, it's likely that this is still consistent with the lore of Fallout, as the master who first created the super mutants, Richard Gray, began to do so in the year 2102, which is the same year that the game is set, but we're gonna have to do a more in-depth video on this topic to confirm it. But if you know more information, again, let me know in the comments below. We also note here that different groups of players can fight one another as they encounter each other in the wastes. So this is probably why Todd recommended for you to play the game with friends, as it would make it easier for you to fight others who are gunning to kill you, and also of course the other enemies and creatures in the game. These characters obviously aren't NPCs, as the footage shows 2 different scenes from the real life people that are shooting each other. Then, kind of like the game Fortnite, you can show different Vault Boy emotes to the people that you're playing with. Of note here in the scene with a bunch of workbenches, in the back you can see a power armor frame, which would mean that the power armor system in Fallout 4 is making a return to Fallout 76. In the next segment, we can see a giant sloth, which is again likely drawn from West Virginian history. Specifically, this is likely the giant ground sloth, which was recognized as an official state fossil of West Virginia in 2008. The specific name of this fossil is the Megalonyx jeffersoni, and it used to be a large giant prehistoric ground sloth. In the game though, it is called the diseased megasloth. Then in this scene, we can see a building that's titled Automated Mining Services. This could be the same company that used to own the giant excavation mining saw that we saw in the first trailer. Todd then mentions that you can build together, which would mean that Fallout 4's building mechanic is returning to Fallout 76. But this time, it isn't tied to specific settlements. Rather, you can build anywhere and also move these structures and bases. Then we get to the second Vault-Tec instructional video. A new American dream, laying the cornerstones. The building anywhere mechanic is all thanks to the camps, or the construction and assembly mobile platforms, which will allow you to build your own bases by yourself or with your friends across the West Virginian wasteland. But it's not just about walls, chairs, and statues. You can actually build your own ordnance to defend yourself against creatures and other players. Once you set up your base, it seems that you can be randomly attacked by creatures and other enemies, so you'll always have to be on guard. Also note that in one of these scenes, you can see the new River Gorge Bridge, which is a real-life bridge in West Virginia. Then in this scene, we see the creature that's likely the one that's inspired by the Mothman, which has gone down in West Virginian folklore as a terrifying creature with wings that was allegedly found in Point Pleasant in the years 1966 and 67. Also remember that in the BGS No Clip documentary video, we saw one of the developers wearing a Mothman t-shirt. This, in addition to the Mothman Museum, makes very clear how important this piece of folklore is in Fallout 76. But note that in the game, this creature is called the Scorch Beast, and it can yell shockwaves from its mouth to damage enemies and destroy structures. It also seems like the encounter pictured in the footage is a random spawn of a very high leveled enemy, which is clearly very tough to take down. This could form an important part of the game, whereby you might be randomly attacked by a high level creature from time to time. This could even be tied to a quest as well. Then really quickly, as you saw, the game has a photo mode. Now we get to the next important bit, the nuking mechanic. In Fallout 76, you'll seemingly be under constant threat of nukes that can be fired by other players. But of course you can fire these nukes as well. On the map, there will be several nuclear missile sites that can be entered into, activated, and fired at will. The third Vault-Tec video showcases this, entitled Atomics for Peace, the keys to lasting success. New power armor colors are shown off in this footage too. In this shot, you can see the T-51 power armor and also the XO-1 power armor. And whilst I am unsure as to the power armor on the far right. I believe this to be the T60 or the T45 power armor. It's just really hard to tell with the modifications. So if you know the answer, please let me know in the comments below. Also in this part of the footage, there is snow, which is certainly of note. And then, as you can see in the background, there are some ghouls that are lurking, with the specific types being the Scorched Conquerors and the Weak Feral Ghoul Officer. On this Ghoul Officer, the character finds an item called the Silo Alpha Piece R8. It seems that once you and your party gather together the required Silo code pieces, you'll be able to activate the nuclear launch site by inserting the nuclear key card into the console mainframe. Specifically, this card is called the Nuclear Key Card Receptacle. You can then choose to fire this nuke anywhere on the map. As an example, they choose to nuke the Charleston Capitol building, which was shown in the original trailer as already being nuked. This would mean that before the nuke strike, the building is actually in good condition, and you could probably go explore it, and only once it is struck will it look like it does in the original trailer. And to confirm this, in the split second before the nuke drops, you can actually see the Capitol building in good condition before it's destroyed. And then, as mentioned, once you nuke an area, you can head to the site and loot it for resources. In the nuclear aftermath of the Capitol building, we can see a new creature called the Glowing Snallygaster, which was probably the same creature that was pictured in the original trailer next to the Capitol building. There's also a diseased glowing Deathclaw there. And finally, some more general information about the game. Fallout 76 will have 100% dedicated servers. The game will be supported for years. It's going to have a beta very soon, and as part of the game's release, it's going to have a Power Armor Collector's Edition, which has a glow-in-the-dark map of West Virginia and a replica of the T-51 Power Armor helmet. Finally, the game is releasing on the 14th of November 2018. Thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed it. Again, let me know any criticisms or feedbacks or comments in the comments below. And until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourself, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.